What's going on, guys? Guys, for Living here, back, and we're starting Arkham or Eldritch Horror officially tonight. It's been a few days since I've been able to get back down here. It's from the first video. So we're going against Cthulhu. Everything's set up and ready to go. Today in the mail, I got my second set of my boned dice. So I have 10 of these bad boys now. So I'm ready to go with the whole 10 set of these. So that's pretty sweet. And I also got my bag I was talking about before in Arkham. Here's my bag with the Cthulhu type of art on it here. And we're going to use this bad boy for our monster tokens. So this is our monster bag. Pretty sweet. So we're ready to go. Okay, so I was deciding who's going to go first. But it really doesn't matter, I don't think, in this part. So I think we're just going to start with Silas Marsh. He's over here in Sydney. Now, if you remember, our mystery card is we have to get somebody to space 3 down here. And we have to do a Rilo Risen special encounter. So one of the special encounters from Cthulhu. And we need to put half the number of players worth of Eldritch tokens on this card to solve it, so we need 2. But we may need clues or something before we go here. I don't know what we need until we read the card. So I'm not going to go there yet, I don't think. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to get some clues. We have 2 right away, and they're both over by Sydney. So what I'm going to try to do with Silas first is he's in a city. There's no monsters, so he can try to acquire assets. So he's going to roll for that first. And that's how you try to acquire some items that are down here. So we're going to grab our boy here, 3 of our dice. Because he has a influence of 3. So every success he gets allows him to spend a point on these assets down here. So we're hoping he gets a couple. And he gets 1 success, so he gets a 5. Which means he can get the gruesome talisman, or he can get a debt to get anything here. I think he's going to take the gruesome talisman. Why not? I don't want to get a debt already. Means he can add 1 to the result of 1 die when resolving a will test during a combat encounter. So if he gets a 4, it ends up a 5. You can add 1 to the results. So he'll take that for now. Why not? And then we have to replace that with a new item. And it's patrolling the streets, which is a task. When you defeat a monster with a toughness 3 or more during a combat encounter, you may discard this card to retreat Doom by 1. That's pretty nice. That's only a 1. That could be useful since our Doom is starting at 12 with Cthulhu. He's a tough son of a bitch. Okay, so he did his first action. You get 2 actions. You can't do the same action twice in a turn. So here's the actions, just for quick reference. You can travel, which means you can move 1 space, and then if you have a ticket, a boat or a train ticket, you can spend that to move an additional. You can prepare for travel by gaining a travel ticket, but you can only do that in a city with a travel route, with the same type of route connected to the city. So if there's no boat, if there's no sea routes into the city, you can't take a boat ticket. If there's no train routes, you can't take a train ticket. That's that kind of route from that city. And you cannot prepare for travel if there's a monster in the city. Acquire, or can you? Actually, I think you can. You can do that. Acquire assets is what we just did. Test influence, gain assets equal to the value from the reserve. You cannot do that if there's monsters in the city. You can rest, recover 1 health and 1 sanity, but you cannot do that if there's monsters in the city. So those are the 2 things you can't do with monsters: assets and rest. Focus, you can gain a focus token, which is a reroll for you, and it fuels some abilities. You can trade if there's another player on your tile or on your space, and you can do your component actions, which everybody has. Like basically, their special action. Silas's is something that he doesn't. Actually, he can move 1 space along a ship path, then perform an additional action. That's what he's going to do. He was here. He did his acquire assets action, and then for his bonus action, he's going to travel 1 space on a ship path, which is going to take him to this clue here. And then for his additional action he gets to do, because of him moving on a ship path, he's going to focus. So these are what the focus tokens look like. So you can spend that for a reroll, and that actually gives him 2, because everybody has a focus and a clue to start with. So he's going to sit there and relax on the C space for now. Staying on C spaces with Cthulhu is not great, because if the Reckoning comes up during the Mythos phase, then we have to put a Cthulhu Eldritch token there. And if anybody ever goes on a C space with an Eldritch token, or if they're on a C space without one, you have to put one there. And if anybody ever moves onto a space containing one, you become delayed and loses sanity. So, but I want to get a clue now. So next is Lola Hayes, our actress. She's up in Tokyo. So for her first action, she's going to get a boat ticket, or a ship ticket, which looks like this, because there's actually, she can only get that here, because there's only boat C spaces going into Tokyo. But she's going to spend it right away, because she's going to move here for her second action, and then she's going to trade in that boat ticket to take this ship to Sydney. So I'm going to try to gobble up those 2 clues right away, I think. So her movement is done. Now we got Lily Chen, who's here in Shanghai. And her ability allows her, her passive allows her, if she improves a skill, she can immediately improve it again. So she can go up 2 points, which is a max you can improve skills. So I was going to keep her in Shanghai to try to improve her lore, but I think I might move her to Istanbul just to get her more on this side of the map, because the 3 of them are way over there, and there's really nobody over here. So I want to try to get somebody on the west side here, I think. So I'm going to have her take a train ticket, because Shanghai has a train route. You can take a train or a boat from here. She's going to move here to 17, and then she's going to move onward to Istanbul, where she has a chance to improve her influence, which then if she does accomplish that, she gets to up that twice. And then we got Mark Harrington. I wanted him to go here and try to close the gate, but because this space doesn't have a boat, he can't actually get a boat ticket to get there this turn. Nobody can, and that sucks. So I think he's going to come into Rome to try to, and then he's going to move into Rome, where he can try to improve his lore. There's also the expedition space right here too. And once he goes in Rome, he could try influence. But I think he is probably just going to get a focus for now. So he'll have 2 to get some rerolls on these first few turns. So he's going to take a focus token. So that's everybody's movement phase. Everybody's done moving. So just like Arkham, everybody moves. The rules are a little bit different in this game than Arkham, because there's different, the board's different, there's different type of actions. But once that happens, you do your encounter phase, where you encounter your space. So Silas is the first player this turn. So he is on this space, and he's going to encounter and try to get this clue. So when you try to get a clue in Eldritch, it's based on the Ancient One. They have their own deck called Research Encounters. And as you can see, like Cthulhu has his, these are what they are here, and Cthulhu has a specific deck for these. So he has to do the first one. And when you look at these, there's city, wilderness, and sea spaces. So he is on a sea space right here. There's also a wilderness space of the green ones, kind of like the heart of Africa here is a green circle, and then the city spaces are the black circles. So he's on the boat. He's in the sea. So let's see what it says. Your ship encounters another vessel engaged in deep sea excavation. You sneak aboard their craft to see what they found. Test observation. So we need to do an observation test with our boy Silas, who has 2 focus and an observation of 3, and no bonuses to that yet. We just need 1 success, 5 or 6. And we get a 6, so we succeed. So let's see what it says. If you pass, you see a strangely crafted golden jewelry. You see strangely crafted golden jewelry. Gain this clue. Alright, nice. And then it says if you fail, blah 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 happens. But of course we don't have to worry about that because we passed. So Silas gets this clue. That gives him 2 clues. Right off the already, so that's awesome. So his encounter is done. So now we go to Lola, who is in Sydney. And Lola has another encounter, research encounter. This time it's in a city. So take the top deck of Sydney, and it says, you see dozens of people with distinct features of Deep One hybrids. So see, they can tell it's like Deep One hybrids, and everything about these cards are going to be based on Cthulhu. That's what I love about this game, is how the ancient one that you're playing is themed into the game. So it's always a little always feels like you're fighting that specific one. It's pretty cool. They watch you constantly, and you'll have to fight to escape. Uh-oh. Test strength. That's not her forte. She only has a 2 in strength. She gets a bonus during combat encounters with her Derringer, but this is not a combat encounter. This is just a strength test. Once per round, an investigator on your space may roll 1 additional die when resolving a test, though. So she can actually take 3 dice once per round, and she's an investigator. It says an investigator. It would say like another investigator or something if she couldn't do it. So she gets 3 dice for the strength test. Oh, that one whiffed. We got a 5. Though off the one that landed. That was terrible. But we did get a 5. So she passes. Nice job. Let's see what happens. If you pass, you identify more families descended from Deep Ones. Gain this clue. Nice. So that worked. We got a couple clues right off the bat with our first 2 investigators. And then I'm going to start sending them over to try to get this mystery done, because Sydney, if you look, actually has a space. You can come off the board on both. There's 3 different paths, and come here to get this clue. There's 3 paths going up the board for the southern, like central and northern part of the world. So it feels like the world is, is round. Very cool. You go around the different parts. So that's a nice start for us. So now Lily Chen is in Istanbul. She's chilling here. And she is going to get a encounter in Istanbul. Now, if you're on a space like Istanbul, it's orange. So that means you take from the orange encounter deck and find the Istanbul encounter. But you could also always take a general encounter for this, in this instance, a city. And there's a black deck with general encounters. So like if you're like if you're on a space that will tend to give you spells, and you have like a 1 lore, you suck at spellcasting, it may be better to do like general encounters, things like that. So you could try to take general encounters. General encounters are always on the spaces that don't have any kind of city space, like the one that Silas is on here. If he didn't have a clue to go for, he would have had to take a general sea encounter, because he's not on an actual location. So you do have an options, though, even if you're on a location. But what we're going to do is take Istanbul, try to improve some skills. Okay. So, at the Serpent Column, you find a collapsed figure. Bitten on the wrist by a snake. As you suck out the venom, it begins affecting your mind. Oh, shit. Will -1. Ooh. And her will is 3. So she gets 2 dice on this test. And she has nothing to give her bonuses on that. Only during a combat encounter. But once per round, she can reroll 1 die when resolving a test for her Lucky Rabbit's Foot. So we may need that. Ooh, and she fails. So let's reroll our die with our Lucky Rabbit's Foot. And that's a 1, so she fails. So let's use our focus that she has for 1 more reroll. We could reroll with the clue as well, but I kind of want to keep those. 6, nice. So the focus worked for us. We did have to spend it though. Alright, let's see what happens. Let's see. If you pass, you save a life. Gain 1 character unique asset. Okay. If we fail, we have to get a madness condition because of the poison, I guess. 1 character unique asset. Alright, so we didn't get to up our skill, but we got a character unique asset. So this is the unique asset deck. Let me bring this back a little bit. Here's our unique asset deck. It's double-sided. So there's a couple decks, the spell deck, this deck, the condition decks. If they're double-sided, you actually draw from the bottom of the deck because you can't see what's coming. So we got to keep drawing until we find a character unique asset. So there's a task. There's a task. Character unique asset. There we go. And then after you do that, you always have to shuffle these up after you draw. So there's a lot of shuffling in this game, but you just do a quick little shuffle, and it doesn't have to be the greatest thing ever. And then do a quick cut. That's what I do. Okay, let's check this guy out. Character unique asset. Who do we get? So it's a unique asset, and it's a character. So it's an ally, Professor Rice. When you gain this card from the deck, gain 1 relic unique asset. Oh, you get another one. After resolving an expedition encounter or a Mystic Ruins encounter, gain 1 clue. Oh, okay. Nice. So, it's pretty sweet. That is for Lily Chen. So we get a relic unique asset. So now we gotta go back in the deck and find a unique asset with the keyword relic. And we just got one. Fossilized samples. Quick shuffle. Alright, so it's Christmas for Lily, apparently. When you perform a rest action, you may examine the fossils. Observation. If you pass, flip this card. So these double-sided cards, you're not actually supposed to look at the back until it tells you to. You're not supposed to know what's going to happen. So we can't look at the back of this card until the time comes when we're supposed to. But once we rest, we can test our observation, and if we pass, we can flip it and see what we find in the soil as we're looking for samples. So with her getting this Professor Rice card, she always gets a clue after resolving. She doesn't have to pass it. She just has to resolve it, which means she just has to do one. So she'll probably be heading to the pyramids next. Because this is the expedition encounter right here, and she's only 1 space away, so she might as well go there next, and then she can get a clue, which is awesome. Okay, and then our last character to go is Mark Harrington, who's sitting in Rome. He's going to try to improve his will. So let's see what we get from Mark. The staff at Sapienza, or something, ask you to provide a lecture for their students. That's lore. So we got to do a lecture for these students. Apparently they want the soldier to give a lecture. And I don't know why they want Mark to do it, because he has a 1 in lore. So he's not very good at this stuff, but apparently they want him to give a lecture anyway. So let's see how he does. Oh, 6! A 6 with an Eldritch sign. He knocks it out of the park. He obviously is good at lying about stuff for his lectures. If you pass, the graceful teachers offer you the classes in any topic you choose. Improve 1 skill of your choice. Oh, that is pretty sweet. So Mark, he already has a 4 in will, but I just wanted to get him over close to the monster. So he can improve another skill of his choice. His lore is a 1, which is horrible. But I don't know if I think I might go with observation. Observation tends to be a test that is called on a lot. So I think I'm going to do observation, give him a +1 in that now. And I'll work on lore maybe later. I don't plan on him doing any spells. So he now has a 3 in observation. Okay, so that's everybody's test for their first turn. We moved, we encountered our spaces, everybody passed. So that's pretty nice. Lily had to use a focus, but other than that, everybody did okay. And now we go to the nasty, nasty mythos phase. So, let's do it. Okay, so it is a rumor, which is bad. Okay, so the way the mythos cards work is and it's a tentacle rumor. The tentacled cards are the harder encounters, or mythos cards, so this is not a good start for us. So this, there's icons on the top of all these cards. Sometimes there's 3, or however many. You just go from left to right. So first we get to spawn clues. That's what this means. So we get to spawn, because it's a 4-player game, we get to spawn 2 clues. So that's good. So let's pull 2 clues out of our clue bag and see what we get. So our first clue is the Amazon, which is right over here. So we get to go to the Amazon. I hope that is focused. It looks kind of a little weird. Okay. The Amazon. And our second clue is Space 3, which is pretty crazy because that's actually the space that Cthulhu's thing is on. Space 3. Right here. So these are both here together. Okay. Maybe because I'm a little zoomed in, maybe? I don't know. Okay. The next part is Eldritch tokens. So we have to get 3 Eldritch tokens ready, because something on this card is going to want us to use them. So here's our Eldritch tokens. Okay, ongoing rumor, web between worlds. See what it says. A sect of Altok-Naka worshippers have called forth the nightmarish spider. Okay. When this card enters play, spawn the Spinner of Woes epic monster on Space 9. When it is defeated, solve this rumor. When there are no Eldritch tokens on this card, investigators lose the game. Holy shit. Oh my god. Okay. And this is a reckoning. So some of these cards are going to have a reckoning symbol. It's like a red. It looks like this, but it's red up here. So whenever those come up, this is going to happen. Discard 1 Eldritch token from this card unless investigators, as a group, spend clue tokens equal to half. So if that reckoning symbol comes up on the next Mythos phase, we could technically spend 2 clues to stop us from taking a token off this card. But if all 3 tokens come off this card before we kill this epic monster that's coming on the board, we lose the game, and that's it. So that is a priority now. So we'll leave this here on the board a little bit so I can remember it. I usually just leave them somewhere where it's pretty obvious. And put the 3 tokens on there to remember. And then I have to find the Spinner of Webs epic monster. So let's take a quick look through here for the Spinner of Webs. There's the Crawling Chaos, not quite the Spinner of Webs. I'll just get a quick look. Here he is, Spinner of Webs. Okay. So these epic monsters are epic monsters for a reason. They're obviously tougher than your average monster. You know, there's some average monsters that are really tough too. It just depends on their abilities. So here's the Spinner of Webs. That's what he looks like. Freaky little dude. Big dude, I'm sure. And so he has a will test for 2 damage. He has a strength -2 test, which is really bad. And he can hit you for 2 damage. And his health, if you failed the will test, do not resolve the combat test. So you have to pass this will test to even have a chance to do the combat test, or we can damage him. His toughness is equal to the number of investigators +2, which means he has 6 toughness, which sucks. Okay, so that just made everything crazier. And he's going to space number 9, which is way up here. Which isn't that far from some of our guys. I got Lily coming this way. I'll probably have Mark go after him. Mark's got a 4 will, so he has a good chance of passing that test, and he's a 4 strength, so he's a good chance of damaging him too. He has some other items he can use. So with all that combined, I think Mark's going to be hunting that spider down ASAP. It's going to take him at least 2 turns to get there, though. So that kind of sucks for him. But what are we going to do? That's Eldritch Horror, man. Game kicks your ass sometimes, or most times. Okay, so that's the first round. We did all our characters, we did our Mythos phase, so we're going to move on to our second round. I'm going to try to do 2 rounds of video. Hope they don't take too long. Let me figure out what I want to do, and then we'll be back.